Hello, and welcome to another update video about BTC. We take a look at the daily chart first, then we will go to the smaller time frame. Here on the daily chart, what you can see is that we are still moving up in this ascending wedge pattern. It started obviously down here at around 76.4K, 76.5K. That's where the wave 4, the larger degree wave 4, potentially indeed bottomed. We talked about all sorts of indicators that we said that, look, the price should move towards 90.9K shortly, and it started the journey. We looked at Fibonacci support, we looked at CME support, CME gap support, that's what the green box is. We looked at the RSI, which showed a bullish divergence here, and an oversold reading, which has a 100% win rate on the daily chart for Bitcoin. We talked about a break above 50 here. That's not substantial yet, so we'll see if that carries on. MACD showed a bullish cross and keeps going. I also shared other stuff like stochastic RSI, things like that. So there were enough indicators to indicate that the market doesn't really want to stay within an oversold or within these extreme fear conditions for long. So that recovery is actually happening right now. The question is how far do we go? Yesterday I shared with you as well the ascending wedge pattern, which is still holding. Some of you might know, I did mention yesterday that I took some profits of my long position up here. A good example of how I'm not purely relying on Elliott Wave. I mean, I do, but obviously I'm using additional indicators. If there are a few trend lines that meet plus Fibonacci resistance, it can make sense to at least take some risk off after a nice rally that we had. So I considered this trend line as potential resistance where I wanted to lock in some gains. Also on the smaller time frame, we reached the target zone. So that's just an example, because a lot of you ask regularly how to trade with Elliott Wave. So it's a good example of how we can use resistances to identify spots where it makes sense to maybe take some risk off. So we're still in that wedge pattern. It might break to the downside. I mean, alarm clock. It might break to the downside. But obviously at the moment we're still holding the trend lines. I'm simply watching that for now. I'm relying primarily on the support levels on the smaller time frame to understand if something breaks. I would certainly pay attention here to this ascending trend line as well. I'm showing that on the smaller time frame in addition. It's just a bit more precise on the smaller time frame, yeah? And then if we zoom out a little bit, the question is still, is it the white scenario or the red one? See, the market is recovering, and I can tell you that once we get into the resistance area, the easy part will be done. The easy part of the analysis will be done. Why? Because from down here, it was, I don't want to say it was obvious, but it could be expected that the price is going to turn around and move towards that 90.9K area or higher. Yeah, that's what's happening right now. But in this area, then it will get tricky, because any corrective pullback, if pullbacks remain three-wave structures, this could represent a setup for higher prices. So A, B, C. First of all, we need the 5 waves anyway. If we get 5 waves, we can watch if the pullback is corrective. If it is, it would be a setup for higher prices. If the move up is a corrective rally, then it could even be an A wave, because A waves can be 5 waves or 3 waves. As long as the pullback is corrective, it could still go higher. But what I want to say is, once we see any 5-wave move to the downside, it would be a strong indication that the red C wave has started. That is related to the red scenario where a bull market top might be in. Could have topped here around the 223.6 extension at 107K. That is not anything that I'm predicting yet, okay? But the risk is there. It's real. Been warning about that for the last 3 months, not only on this channel, but also in member videos, but also on our MCO Global channel, our main channel. So please be aware of that larger degree, bigger picture context. If you're interested in larger time frame analysis, weekly charts, and so on, check out the MCO Global channel. You can find it linked in the description. Let's take a quick look at the smaller time frame. Not really much happened since the last update yesterday, but that wave 4 that started has carried on. Yeah, has developed a little bit further. The idea is still that a potential larger degree wave 4 might have bottomed here around the 11th of March. And then quick explanation, yeah. What we're doing, we're just zooming into this right now. We're just zooming in to take a look at the detailed structures. And this would be a wave 1, this first rally, then a wave 2 pullback, a 1-2 setup, potential flat correction in a diagonal structure to the upside here. Also, great example here. I mean, someone commented yesterday, I talked about that in one of the videos yesterday, that this diagonal pattern is not likely. It would be much more likely to have something like a more bullish structure. For example, a combination of 1-2, 1-2 setups. And I explained to you yesterday that this is likely not the case because we have too many overlaps. Surely, technically, visually, you might call it a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. But then I told you this is likely not what's happening. The market would need to break out directly, aggressively. See, now we have another, what is that? Another 1-2, but it's only 3 waves up, so it's already invalid. So yeah, this is not what's playing out. It has to be some kind of a diagonal, or it's just a corrective mess, which is the yellow scenario. It's not impulsive. So that means we have to be careful, cautious. A substantial low in this larger degree wave 4 is not confirmed until we get all 5 waves up. So that doesn't mean you couldn't trade it. You absolutely can. I did the same. But it's just that we have to still be extremely careful, just cautious, be aware that this is fragile. So it's not easy to trade and track. We're holding above this trend line. Watching this one, absolutely. It's just trend line here on the smaller time frame. I'm watching Fibonacci support between 86,190 and 87,530. And this is quite a direct move down into support for a 4th wave, for an internal wave 4. It's valid. Ideally, the bulls turn up here before we see a decisive break below 86,190. Here you see an example. The price reached that target level. And that's where I said yesterday, it's possible wave 4 started. So there was a good heads up there, good info about wave 4 starting. And we're now in support. So we just need to see now. I'm not convinced yet that it's bottomed. But this is where I would expect it, if this is the correct wave count. Any break below 86,190, I would want to see if it breaks below the trend line as well. If we do that, that could indicate a much larger drop ahead. There is some more support that I'm going to watch around the 83,260 area. And if the price breaks below it as well, then we just have to see how the structure develops. But yeah, I mentioned yesterday kind of, look, the risk is it might just drop to this trend line. That's not a prediction. Just highlighting what would be the obvious support levels, right? Parameters. That being said, this trend line isn't really properly adjusted. It would be more like that, maybe more like the 74, 75K area. But that would be exactly what I highlighted. Look, if we fail to form 5 waves up, another low still cannot be ruled out here. And 75K is next support, 69K. But yeah, that's the update about Bitcoin at the moment. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also, if you have any questions about this analysis, you can ask them on X. I encourage you to join us on X, our X community here. The link is in the description, also pinned in the comment section. I'll be there after the video to reply to questions. If you just post as a reply to the latest Bitcoin post here, happy to answer your questions. So check it out. Very active community here. See you there. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.